what does it look like? I was having a chat to a few spiritual friends, and yes, they are clients. They've now got their own YouTube channel. And yeah, just I talked about some of the processes that I went through prior to union. And the thing is, I did see a post today, and it was the thing is, you do tend to, at the end stage, be very nonchalant. You're very detached. So the interesting thing was, those of you who commented to, you want to see more twin flame videos, or, where you're at, which, no shade, it is what it is. It's all our spiritual process. There are some people that may be, and detachment's a unique thing. Detachment is really, you do get to a point where when you reach union with self, you physically are nonchalant. There's the beautiful cosmic love tarot. We were talking last night, weren't we, Del? So anyway, we were talking about the aspect that the ones that actually answered don't really want connection. Hi, Ange, how are you, beautiful? If you could only see me now, I'm putting henna in my hair. So I was like, all right, we need to talk about this. Number one, in astrology, this is a week of hell, I will just say, and there can be huge triggers of ego. There also could be sudden changes emotionally. So we need to be prepared for that. So, usually in a new moon, we have that new beginning, and it's not going to be that way at this time. And that's not that. It's a permanency. It's a bit like you will see the collective, because the moon's involved. The moon is squaring Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus is the bringer of sudden change. It's the tension point, and it's what are we going to do with that change? So in our lives, because we have Venus in Capricorn, we're having a lot of circumstances from the past coming back. That can be a love affair. It can be looking at our work and looking over that thing. I mean, look at YouTube, for instance, what I'm going through at the moment. We are changing. It's necessary, but how? And, when we, in a frequency and in soul contracts, the thing is, when we have attachment to everything staying the same, the collective then shows you that that's an impossibility, right? And it's not that I'm saying, yes, I'm not going to do twin flame videos. I'm going to. But it's when we have that requirement, we need to then look at the twin flame path and say, okay, do we have that expectation on twin? Because it's, number one, sometimes we can have a false perspective that a person can't change, and it's not true. It's fear-based frequency. And again, the person can change, but it's not by micromanaging. It's not by doing the work for them. It's stepping back, not enabling, and allowing that to transform. And it depends on where you're getting information. I know my personal process went through a phase where, and there's 7 stages of healing. So initially you feel like you're negotiating. When something sudden happens and it's really horrendous, you're not negotiating. You have completely disconnected to a degree, and you're like going through that mental process of that disconnection, because you're like, okay, I can't negotiate with terrorist-related ways of a person having a demeanor towards you. So you're doing all you can to physically heal yourself so you can have a sane cognitive life. And that was really documented on YouTube with me through that process. And the thing is, 9 times out of 10, twin journey is not an easy journey. They're not, they will resemble a soulmate after, but they're not that cookie cutter, masculine or feminine, where it's flowing effectively. And it is about patterning and conditioning, which, even if you wanted to take the twin flame tag away, it is what it is, right? But it's how to break those cycles. And that's really what I attempt to make my channel about, is to help you break that cycle. So when I came to that point that I realized I'd done everything but detach. I mean, we talk about detachment and we say, okay, what does that look like? Well, detachment is where you physically have gone through the third eye. You are thinking on the connection, what happened, how you related to it, why it happened. You're going into victim consciousness. You're thinking about the things you never said, what you'd prefer to say. You then start relating to human beings around you differently. It can be very projectile initially because you're purging the ego. And you can be very abrupt thinking that's what owning your power is. And no, it actually isn't, but it is a process that you go through. Owning your power is where a subject comes up and you, in the matrix of the situation, have a decision to make, and you make it based on what is going to be best for you. You do take into consideration the bigger picture, and you can make allowances and dance around that situation, but not to the detriment of your health or placing yourself in a position that will impact you. Okay, so in the initial stages, you will enable, you will be playing chess, you will be negotiating, right? Then after, through learning and moving through that, Buddhist monks talk about the fact that sometimes being spiritual can look selfish, and it's not necessarily, and I do agree, but it's not from an egoic, narcissistic way. It's through, I wouldn't say not caring, but knowing in an ego that control, how do I put it? I've got to articulate this really correctly. Just because you make a decision that you feel is healthy for you, it may not be popular, but it's not you're a bad person. And so a lot of times our appeasing is beyond, and we appease to the point because we don't want to look naughty, someone who's not following, the tribe. And the thing is, we're moving into the age of Aquarius. We're like virgins of this. So it's the humanitarian in the Zodiac. But it's also, it can be very rebellious, so we can go left or right on this, but it also can cause pack mentality. So a young Aquarian being born will feel like they want that connection, that they want to help, but they can overcompensate, and then they feel stung, and there can be no turning back, right? They can walk away from a situation and go, look, you didn't pass the test, blah, 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 blah. And it can really wound them in their development early on. So this is really where we're at. So what's my point? Okay, signs that you are gearing up ready for union. Number one, you would have needed to purge codependency. Those are the key things. Now, the reason I say that the key things is you can use your own personal path in your relationships, and you can look back at synchronistic patterns you personally had in every connection you've ever had. And that can be with your work. It can be with your friends, with your family. And you look at those patterns, and that's doing the work. So for me, in separation, I had come to absolutely had enough. And when I say I put myself in the naughty corner to a degree, yes, it caused depression. But also, to a huge point, it was I had to physically, for the sake of my health, break patterns. And like I said yesterday, I had two lovely people that were very, very strong spiritual friends, very loving, but also my soul attracted those vibrations, and it was Luciana and Jen, so big shout out to you, I love you. And Angela, you helped me through my process as well. But these two individuals separately, they're in America, they really, when I had a trigger come up, they would force me to, well, not force me, they would trigger me enough to point out the mirror, and I would battle with it like I was in a punching ring, and I would move through that heavy purge of looking at my shadow. And so if I had ego and I was projecting outside of myself, and this was happening on a daily while I was doing YouTube readings, those are things you didn't see, but going through that process, when you're in pain, it's a little bit like you're too close to the fire. It's not fun. But in doing that, you liberate yourself gradually. You're moving through it and you're moving out of it. And I did realize that through some of my belief systems, it was almost like, what's the point of having a relationship? It's all those stories you tell yourself. This always happens. Well, yeah, okay. And who's the common denominator? We are. And I'm not saying by any means that there's not perpetrators, right? There is, but the power we have is on our side of the fence, not their side of the fence, because that's their work to do. A, we try and comprehend it. Hi, Eddie. B, we're trying to get to a point that we're trying to work out why those things are coming up, how we're attracting them, and fear-based frequency can attract them. I'm doing my hair, Eddie, so we're talking about signs of the union and, things that I know in a pattern sense have come for me. I do believe a lot of you will be coming into communication with your twin very soon. The important point is, where are you on your journey? It can go two ways. Some who have not done the work, it can be a very in and out energy. Others of you that really are in that very detached mode, and I wouldn't say angry, you might have a little inkling there, here and there, but then it kind of goes away. You work through it and realize it's pointless. But only because you've done it for a long time and you've looked over it maybe thousands of times that your ego's tired. You've thought about it. You've done the 7 stages of healing. And it does happen at a personal level, because we can't make, oh Lord, I don't want to talk to him. Oh, well, yeah, you'll have your quiet time. Don't worry, doll. Universe gives us nothing we can't handle. And I know when I was in it, I was like, that's rubbish. Because the thing is, it's not necessarily what universe is giving us. It's the fact that healing, when we're on autopilot and we have things to do, we don't place ourselves as a priority with the healing. So we've got bills to pay. We've got kids to look after. We're wanting to get back to life as usual. So prior to probably 2017, it really activated 2012, a lot of us were getting to the point that we had dark night of the soul energy. So, holidays for the kid, that's not going to happen. And you should see the way Shanice is these days. Good God. Driving me crazy. Well, funny thing is, she is an Aquarian. So, yes, they do have Capricorn on the 12th. So, it's affecting them at the moment. So, God bless to Aquarians. So, you go through those various stages. Now, Ange has known me probably since I was 20. And she knew about my twin. She knew about that person many moons ago. And I remember a time where, so funny, I was at her house and she did a card reading for me. And I remember saying to her, if I can't have that person, give me a soulmate or someone like him. And I happened to meet that person, and it was on a night I was out with her. So there's my witness in the house. And he was a beautiful person, and we're still friends. He was a soulmate energy. And the funny thing was, that was part of my process. That was where my soul was at. My soul was ready to meet a person who was going to show me what my worth was, because I was having a 5D relationship, theoretically, in astro, but not believing it could physically be in the 3D. Ange was doing Reiki. I was always into my psychic energy. So at times, we would actually, work together and help friends and do things like that. And, you tend to find all of you all have gifts. So when you go through that, you tend to develop them as you go. And the people you heal, they're healing you too. So it's not a one-sided transaction, because it's your spiritual process. It's a bit like caring. We've also done that together. We've done community work and, the nursing aspect of things. And again, as above, as within, it helps you both sides. But you will find you'll be pretty darn detached, because you've done the work. You realise fighting with universe, fighting with situations in your life is futile, because change happens all the time, and it's how you bounce back, and that's Pluto. Okay, with those changes, yes, you might be really peeved. You might be very frustrated. If you're tuning into how it needs to show up, it's a sure sign you need to detach from that. If you're looking at what they would need to do to solve a problem, it can be financial, emotional, physical. You need to tune out and detach from that. It's not your work. If you're having ascension symptoms and you're feeling their energy as an empath, it comes like you can feel a yearning. There's other times they can feel very anxious. You can acknowledge the energy, but you need to breathe it out, because you're embodying it and owning it, and you're allowing. It's not so much you're allowing the frequency. It doesn't help the ascension and the movement point. It's a bit like a child energy. When we're in the inner child and we need safety, we feel these vibrations. High necessary truth. So we feel these vibrations, right? So what I found was when I was in detachment, we had our separation. I really did not care if we did or did not reconcile, but my psychic attacks were coming through very heavily from my twin. So I'd have moments where, I'd be doing readings pretty much every day. I mean, I was single, I was alone, my daughter had moved into her father's, and to understand the energy, I was looking at it daily because I was actually doing the work on myself daily. Not because it was like, hey, I want to be a famous YouTuber. It was legit because I was having these things happen. It was like, okay, this is really interesting. Why is this happening? So in going through that, some will say send love and light. And of course you send love and light to a human being. But if an airplane's going down, they tell you, put your mask on first, then you can help others. And this week and next week is pretty similar to that. Enabling won't work. Also, being narcissistic won't either, but being aware of what is your role and what isn't. If we're healing and helping and doing such all the time, is the person who needs to be healed doing work? That can be the same in the twin flame journey. If you feel that they need help and you're going into nurse mode, you've got to ask yourself, do I want to be that or do I want to be partner? And again, you can come together and actually work together. But the thing is, most of you will get to a point you reach union with self first. You would have gone through the 7 stages of healing, purging. You would have had ascension symptoms and deep psychic attacks, ebbs and flows of ups and downs. And usually when it comes in, you're going to have situations where you'll feel the vibration, it'll be heavy. You'll have a 3D circumstance playing out in your life that'll be testing you. You'll go through it, have a comprehension and understanding of what that meant at that time. You'll purge, you'll get tired, you'll get up again after about 1 to 2 weeks. It can be 1 to 2 weeks. It can be very quick the further into your ascension you get. Then as you're up and you've released it, you'll have a 3D circumstance play out, hi Char, that you'll pass that test. It'll be like, I don't know, I've already gone through this. I'm not going to go through this again. And it can be anything, right? They're blockages. They're coming through the chakra systems and your ingrained conditioning. It's, as Mark said, it's human conditioning we're breaking. So once you've done that, the reason why you'll have a 3D circumstance is because twin will have a synchronistic event similar to that and have to purge that point too. So by you doing the work, you are fast tracking your twin flame journey for them to deal with that. And it won't be, even through that ascension, it won't be because you have to have union. It will be because you want to be sane. That's where the ascension process will take you. So some people will tell you, and it gets, initially, wherever you are on your journey, you get very scared. It's sort of like when you read, data relating to it from what's on the internet. It says it's not about the twin flame. Well, not necessarily that articulated that way. It's not about union. It's bigger than that. And it really is, because it does get to a point, for sanity's sakes, you just want to be whole. You just want to have a sane life. And then when you have reached union with self, you will find you won't have to have a relationship with your twin. And hear me out on this one, because you are coming with less expectation, because you've purged so much. It's like nothing will define you anymore. How do I put it? If you've faced all your fears, and it's literally, if you look at your twin flame journey, it's almost like, how is this happening? Everything you feared physically happening is because it's ingrained in you. So we kind of wonder why those events keep happening. It's directly because inside of our auric field, our chakra system, we may be afraid that a karmic will occur. We may be afraid that they will have a child with someone else. And as soon as that comes up, by you assessing it and looking at it, you can purge that without having to experience that as a 3D circumstance. And that's why we do say coaching and healing. You can also have a psychological attachment to the tag, which can drive you a bit batty, because you're like, what does this mean? Does this mean that I'm cursed and I can never have a relationship? In the initial stages, rebounds don't work. We don't need the tag to associate. Rebounds in a pain body experience do not physically work. They are avoidance of self. You then kind of will feel burdened because you feel responsible for that new connection you've moved into, and also be purging at the same time. So it's about you checking what's going to be correct for you. If you feel you could cope with processing that and being open to love, far be it for me to say anything. If you feel that you can now be a cognitive functioning energy without that ascension coming in and that subject matter relating to that twin, without you going, am I going left? Am I going right? You're ready. Okay. Another situation is when it does come to choices, when you go into negotiation with your twin and you're trying to ask them to give you it really doesn't work, and it does turn out really quite karmic in a sense. And I mean, even with my soulmate energy, I wouldn't say it was a rebound, but I was not ready to deal with certain circumstances. My soul was very tired. And again, I didn't know anything about twin flame journey, and it's not that twin flame journey or the tag to find you. I was ready to have a quiet life. I really was. So with your ascension, you must work through it. With signs of it coming, you will be nonchalant. You will be to the point, you do want it, but you don't want it. You don't, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't, because you're so tired that, you'll move through it. And I'm not saying that I didn't have days where it was like a trigger would come up, but I did have a massive purge prior to union. And it was angry and aggressive. And I do see some people, even on YouTube, some people, needing things to be a certain way, getting scared that they don't have the tools. And it naturally happens, guys, honestly. Not one of us on YouTube is a complete solution. I can talk about it candidly about my spiritual process. But the crazy thing is we have to do our work. So it's really, and you'll get guided to these things. Your guides will help you. They will help you show where the blockages are, and they will give you those circumstances. So it will be a natural way it will come about inside of your life. But yes, there's ways, obviously, to fast track it, and you should always be disconcerting when going to readers, when going to healers, and doing that work. But I can actually say I did release a video I did, and I believe it was 2018 it would have been, I'm pretty sure. And it was called The Wrath of Medusa. And we had Medusa making aspects, which is, it was very Neptunian. We had a lot of Pisces energy around that time because Chiron was in Pisces. And so a lot of shadow energy was occurring, right? And this year we do have Jupiter in Pisces. So those of you that are struggling with the work, please, 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 for your sake, get on board with it. Because that spirituality, in an awakening sense, if we are, to a degree, have a lack, that can be with the way you provide for yourself. That can be with, needing that Omar Sharif in your life to come and save you, or for them to choose you. You will get, it's not that they've chosen a karmic, they have not chosen thyself. So, when you can work through that, and you'll just know that psychologically you can't look at it in the same fashion anymore because it's exhausting. That's when you will get that physical movement, and it won't define you, because you will know that if you have to make a choice for yourself, it's a bit like the blooming Titanic going down. You're going to make a decision, right? You're going to make a decision. You're going to be your own best friend. You won't be angry. You won't be judgmental. You will be, okay, I do not. And I had plenty of times with my twin when we reconciled that it was testing. Sometimes I thought he had his life together more than me. Chronically amuses me, even to this day, because I had learnt a lot about myself, but also learnt about, through Jen in America. And I've mentioned this before on YouTube. She made this face one day when I was giving her a reading. And she goes, I had to decide what I wanted to do. And I went, what are you doing? And she said, well, I was making a decision whether the request the person had me, whether I wanted to do it. And I went, heck,
How many times have we gone to a birthday party? How many times have we, done things for somebody and it was going to inconvenience our work? It was going to make us upset. Twin, I was talking to him yesterday and he said to me, I want bloody ice cream sundae. And Cosmic Love Tarot, we talked about this as well. I mentioned that you said the caramel sundae. He doesn't like caramel, guys, okay? He's all for the chocolate and Ascension Love Tarot. And yeah, we love caramel sundaes, right? We like the caramel and the chocolate. We want it all. So anyway, he would call me up. I live separately. He lived with his kids. I lived with mine, and I was running the business on YouTube channel, etc. And he would say, call me up. When are you coming over? Bring me a caramel sundae. And sometimes it was please. It'd be please. So of course I'll go get this bloody ice cream sundae. And even now I'm working on healthy boundaries. And I was like, you want it, baby cakes, you can go down and get it, okay? Because we're on a health kick. And if you want that ice cream, you will do the work to go and get that ice cream, because I do not want ice cream right now. My love, okay? So, and in the initial stages, you would go to hell and back. You would lick their feet if you had to. And I'm being sarcastic here, but you know what I mean. You'd do anything. I would do anything for love. And then no, I would. You will learn you won't do anything for love. It baffled me, because I literally went to hell. I literally felt it was a requirement to have love in my life to go to hell. No, it's not. It's conditioning, right? You do not have to, you can't be blocked, I'll tell you that, because you're just not going to have any successful relationship, healthily so, because it's like wearing a mask, because we're being for something else. How many times have we done that? Being something for somebody else, trying to be Play-Doh, and then going, heck, this is hard work. Why? Because getting to know yourself is an ongoing process. Matthew McConaughey said this. It is pointless trying to know who you are, because tomorrow you're going to be a different person. 100. But who are you today? How much time do you spend on acknowledging who you are today? Who are you today? You've got to know who you are. So in today's moment, I am Yildiz. I'm a person who strives to change myself, to have love for my fellow YouTubers as my family, to have compassion for you when you're stuck, to try and find a healthy way in order to articulate to you the process of reaching union. And it's for you, not for me. But it's also not just about union, because I do need to take into consideration some of you will not want union. That is a reality. Some of you may not be able to work through that wound, and you may not want that union. But the reconnection will come to heal a perspective on it. I will say that. So for those of you, I don't want to just be the YouTuber that is, I'll talk about Twin Flame Path and I'll do healing tips and tools. And like I said, I haven't ever stopped doing that. And I did not intend to. But we change. Twin changes. You change. Life does transform. We have to, and we must evolve. It's inevitable. And if we don't, we get stuck. Like the Leo King says, are you going to take the red pill or the blue pill? Change is hard. Change feels uncomfortable. But after, what it gives you is such a larger perspective. Astrology has helped me see my conditioning. What my life path was in my life. And yes, we talk about soul mission. Everything that you're going through is taking you to soul mission. When you do start reaching union with self, you will trigger a lot of people around you. And some of you probably noticed that already. And it's not through being narcissistic. It's through you just understanding that you can't change what people think of you. It is the projection is the reflection. So that of what we point fingers at people at is a lack within. So, again, the need for change, the need for no change. Why? Because it's safe? No, it's not. Nothing is. But it's like, do we jump on a Ferris wheel and experience that ride and know that we're scared of heights and have that exhilaration? Or do we stand on the sideline and observe our life from the outside, wishing to have some 5D connection, but never experiencing it? you've got to challenge it, because it's where your life, in your life, you're becoming disabled with it. It's blocking you from achieving certain things. I mean, I regularly do things that scare me. Like I said, there was a time where I had, and you know, I still work on my body image issues. It will be there, and it's a wound, and you have to keep working at it. But I would get fake tans nude, and that was to challenge my belief about my body and make peace with me. To love me for all my warts and all, for who I am, because I have to live with myself, not my twin, nobody. I have to live with me for the rest of my life, and that is our investment, so we can give to the best for people around us. We have to get to a point we fall in love with our lives and do those things that make us happy. So, you know, ask yourself today, what makes you happy? If you're tuning into what your twin would need to change, trust me, a lot of you are having contact coming in soon. Don't do the work for them when it relates to karmics. If you move into reunion, it'll be surprising for you. It'll happen very quickly. It won't look like union. And the reason I say that is because you have no expectation on it. So you're like, what the devil is going on? They're calling me all the time, and sounds like I'm on a thunderbox. I'm in the bathroom. I'm colouring my hair, and I'm mixing the hair dye in the container, and I look like a mud queen. It's beautiful. It's very organic anyway. So, you know, when you come back into union, and it's not, how do I put it? You will trigger each other. You really will trigger each other. It can be very frightening, but something in your soul contract won't let you go. It's really weird. It's like you want to run away, but you can't. And it's not the addictive side of it. It's more you're perplexed. You're like, why can't I go? You're irritating me. So all those roller coaster rides of emotions you had, you know, you might have had the ebbs and flows of going, you are just the biggest king on the planet. You have that really does come back. You also have awe of how they're transforming. You're perplexed at the pain that occurred. You may bring things up. You can maybe go into disbelieving of, are they going to abandon you? You know, oh, hi, Stella, thanks, Stella. You know, so all of those things can come up. But for some reason, it's almost like you can't go anywhere. And you're done. You don't know how. You don't know why. I felt like I had an umbilical cord on my back. And I would have temper tantrums and storm out the front, sit down and take a breather. And he would laugh at me after. We would always laugh about it after. Because we both had triggers and we were working through it. We also had BS with the karmics being stupid, interfering. And then we created healthy boundaries. Like, no, we're not putting up with this no more. What end of South Node? West end of South Node. Just see. Knowing my luck, I'll tap the phone and you'll see my bloody hair. I don't want that now. I'd give you guys nightmares. Oh, it doesn't look that bad. I'm not that pretentious to really care. I'm putting the indigo in now, so it's a two-step process. At times, I actually put the henna in, which is I make that ahead of time, and I don't freeze it. I leave it there, and I put it in the refrigerator, so it's always ready. And it makes your hair grow really thick. It's very natural. It's organic. Because I had an allergic reaction to parabens, and I've been on a paraben detox for the last 7 years, and I think my hair now is below my bottom. It's like it's on steroids, guys, because it's organic. I was just going to say, oh, you're a dag. I don't know. I don't know, my dear. I wouldn't know. So, any questions relating to, okay, number one, reaching union will not look what you think it looks like. You would have dealt with, I would say 80% of the drama, but more so it would be you processing the past and too tired to think about it. Okay, now, you also can get to a point you will reject traditional readings. And that will be because you don't resonate with the cookie cutter readings that are talking about fairy tales that you believe are a crock of blah, blah. Okay. Because you won't, and you will start looking at the readings more so from a yin and yang, because you just want to be psychologically happy, that you will look at the masculine as the integration of you and the yin yang effect. So initially, yes, you may look at it, but you're wanting to more look at it from their perspective over, are they in love with me? There's a soul connection, okay? It ain't going away. You can't, I've told you before, you can't, if you're a twin, a real twin, and I'm not interested in proving who is who isn't. I have no interest in that. That's not my job. Theoretically, from my experience with my coaching and from the twins that I have worked with as well as me, it isn't really a choice, it's a vibration, right? So it's like you do psychologically get to a point further into your journey. And that's why some of you that are really new here might notice a bit of sass now and then, a bit of comedy, how I speak about my process, and you know, you can get to you both love them and loathe them. That's sort of what the journey was. But it's not, and you amusingly can look at it and laugh about it because it was a process, but it doesn't define you. It's going to liberate you, which is what you don't understand. Your wounds are physically never going to disable you again, because the more you work on them and you don't sweep them under the carpet when they come up and you deal with them, you're learning not only when you're in separation, you'll find 3D circumstances will play out with your family members, with your work colleagues, with your friendship groups. And they will be synchronistic patterns that you potentially may have had with your twin, and you need to break that cycle with those individuals so that you don't attract a karmic, so that you don't go back into the reunion with the same BS. You want to move through those things and you want to address them. You also can go into hermit mode, which is more for your psychology to heal and upgrade and understand. And then you can come to a point where you reintegrate and you no longer avoid society, so that you realize that the world doesn't need to change for us, because, you know, we can move away from people initially, guys. And you all know that we've had, you know, those of you that have been here for a long time, we may have had issues with a mother or father energy. On top of that, then it might have been friendship groups, and it might have been moving jobs. Now, those of you early on in the road, the funny thing is in 2012, we had a lot of 5 vibrations. We're back to that this year. So we're back to but you're going to handle that better. Load and reload, Eddie, because I can't really touch it and it's not on this side. Are you back? Is it okay? So you won't fight it, but it can come up mid-year due to the fact that Jupiter is going to go retrograde into, let me think, Pisces. And again, we had a lot of dark night of the soul. We had crown chakra activation. There was depression, you know, collective energy, 12th house. It can be the house of our undoing. It's our awakening, but it can be dark night of the soul energy. So those of you really early on in the journey, that can come up. All right. Yeah. Well, another thing is because we have the nodes and Sagittarius, hacking and things like that will regularly happen. So my advice to you would be on a regular basis with all your emails, with all your logins, regularly update them until the nodes shift out of Gemini and Sagittarius. Regularly update. We'll have updates in the collective relating to media, laws. Yes. Indigo sounds a nice colour. Yes, well, it's a blackish blue, but it's also very therapeutic for the scalp. It's like having a hair mask. So I get the best of both worlds. I get the conditioning treatment of the henna, and I also get the inconvenience of the cleanup, but I also get the colour. So what joy. So most of the time, if I'm too tired, I do the henna, wrap it up, and I go to bed. What product is it? I get mine over the internet via eBay. At times I do go to an organic shop here, but I buy it in bulk.
and it's from India. And then I just mix it up myself. I have a bucket, so I put coffee grains and I mix that in. I put a lot of lemon and I mix the henna in till it's a paste, and I'll leave it there for about 3 days to activate, and it goes very red in color. And then I put the lid on and put it in the fridge, and you can keep that there for a whole month. You mix it, it's keeping cold, the lemon juice keeps it cured, and the longer it sits, the redder it gets. Your activation time is quicker. So when I had to use it before, it would be an 8 to 24 hour process. Now when I make it, I can put it in and 2 hours it's done, it's red, and it's eliminated that 8 hour window. So make it up ahead of time, let it activate for a few days, put it in the refrigerator, and it's always ready on hand. You've been in hermit mode since the pandemic. But connect, don't fit, you know, when I say hermit mode, when we're in hermit mode, we're healing, right? But then you realize you need to integrate with human beings, and it can be even just the communication via media. You know, not getting to the point you don't feel safe to interact with people because somehow they're going to trigger you, you're going to trigger them, or they need you to be a certain way. You'll understand it is a them issue, not a you issue, and you will just not allow it to affect you, and you'll observe them. You won't try and heal them. You won't try and change them. You'll watch it like a Buddhist monk, and you'll go, that's a very interesting statement you made, because you're not taking it personal. Yeah, my twin was calling me. And my hands are covered in henna, so it's not happening, so I will call him back after. See, that's funny, eh? Yes, twins do call each other, guys. Regularly. Yes. So that's another thing. You know, a lot of you may not have had that romance. You might not have had that special treatment, or and yes, it can be, but it's about you shifting to the point you aren't the giver all the time. You need to learn how to receive. So if there's a circumstance and you're the go-to fixer queen, stop doing that. If you are a person that never receives and always gives, start balancing that out. Start working on that and integrate that into your life. And it is a little bit like the laws of attraction. So a few things will happen. A, you would have healed the wounds of the past. B, your self-worth energy will upgrade. Not narcissistically, just knowing that you also, as much as you give, you can receive. It's meet me halfway. And it's not to the point that you can't do the same things you did before, but you can do them differently with the viewpoint that if you're working with me, yes, I can work with you. Another area is you will reintegrate with people that maybe you'd had cross wires with. Some of you won't return to certain energies. It can be like family members and that. Others of you won't be angry. You'll just understand there are times in life that we go on separate paths. And you know, you'll also trigger people a lot. Accidentally. And you can also attract another twin prior to reunion. You'll notice, again, your patterns. Look back at your patterns, guys. How often do you think about, you finally give up, and that's when they come back? It's because you're in detachment. And you're like, oh, this person's come into my life. You know, people are coming towards me. They're attracted to me now. It's really weird. Why is that happening? Because you're open. You're an open channel. You're in receptive mode. So moving into receptivity, not controlling, because control is ego and it blocks it. It's the same. It's a bit like panicking over money. Oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay my bills? You actually detract it because you're in lack mentality. When you relax and you can't find a solution to the problem and you just tune out of it, you'll find suddenly you might find $50 on the floor, or somebody that owes you money can bring it in, or money and work comes in. So it flows. Why? Because you're in detachment. You're not controlling. So it's the same with your twin. If you're controlling and feeling they need to do X, Y, and Z, look at the mirror and kind of see how maybe you have been doing that to yourself as well, having the expectation that you had to be perfect all the time. In relation to change, do I have to be this forever? I've got to hold this together. I've got to hold the ship together. No, you don't. It's not a one-sided transaction. Yeah, so self-worth energy, lower chakras, right? Build them up. You can get to gluttony energy because of emotions. And at the moment,
Twins that are really quite stuck, because we have Mars and Taurus. Mars in your astrology chart will show you what you are looking for in a partner, but maybe not necessarily what you get. It can be a benchmark, so to speak, and it's a lack within. So we have to integrate that. So twins that need to do a lot of work and have a lot of blockages, this will be a hard 3 months due to the fact that Mars is in Taurus, and it can be self-esteem energy. It can be codependency relating to money. It can be subject matters relating to money and reasons you can't move out of a karmic connection or into a connection. And that this month, moving through to March, will be huge purges relating to that area. So if in any shape or form, you know, you have any codependent situations going on in your life, working on that over the next 3 months will liberate you. But if you can tune out of it, do balancing work with your chakra systems, but you can have purges relating to that, and it will be hard. So by breaking codependent patterns, we move into psychological freedom, where it doesn't define us, and like the laws of attraction, we don't keep co-creating that same channel. Does that make sense? So yes, those of you further back in the journey, there could be subjects relating to finances. Any questions? And I can't pull cards. I have henna on my hands, okay? Yeah, I can't use them. And look, the funny thing is, if you have tattoos, you can get a build-up of that pigment inside you. Plus, over the years, it's got 5,000 chemicals in a hair dye. It will build up in your blood system, and you can't detox. So I can answer questions based on signs, synchronicities. I can't pull cards though. And individual questions relating to your twin, it can be in a subject matter, but not, how do I put it? Are they my twin? You know, honestly, you will know they're your twin, because you will have, and I'll do videos based on that for those of you further back in the journey, what the signs are, you know, things to that degree. I get short-tempered on and off. Yeah, because we've got, at the moment, we've got the sun in Capricorn, right? And it's our ego, it's the way we show up in the world. It's also the pressure we're feeling. We're like, oh my God, do I have to be everything? Yeah, you do at the moment. Because we're moving through that energy, and it did relate to where the South Node and the North Node were around 2018-19. Also, by the time we do hit March, karmically speaking, it's going to be hard for 3 months. It's hard work. It's moving forward. It's dealing with these situations. Mars also in Taurus can be subjects. You could even see the police wanting a pay rise with Mars and Taurus, and government officials and things to that degree dealing with all these. It could be nurses and things like that needing it because of the high pressure in that industry, or the money relating to governing that dynamic may be coming up in the media. You know, not necessarily that they're wanting a pay rise, but how do they navigate this matrix with this, you know, situation in the collective? So, house and accommodation related dynamics. If you're in a karmic situation and you are waiting for them to tell you in any shape or form, do you choose me? They will never say that, because they will never take you out of a karmic situation, because it is a contract you have and it's something in a blockage you have. You can't do that with them, and they can't do that with you. It kind of blocks it. It doesn't work. And you'll find you need to deal with the current circumstance you're in if you're in a karmic relationship, and close that cycle out emotionally, psychologically. Because if it's only safe if they tell me they want me, that you kind of find after karmically, you have all this wounding relating to your karmic or your soulmate, and it's unfinished business. So it doesn't tend to be that it's a choice. It's a spiritual situation that one dealt with at a point, and it needs to be closed out, and you need to look at the shadow energy of why you feel that is all you can have, that is all you can be. However that relates. So you will tend to find, if you say to your twin, you know, do you want a baby with me? Are you going to go back and say, okay, if I have a child with my twin, why do I have that feeling? Is it because you want to have a child? Or is it because you feel somehow psychologically that would lock it down, Eddie? Do you know what I mean? We're going to show over here, and he says lock it in an E, so big shout out to Eddie. Do you get what I'm saying? What have I missed in the chat? You get short-tempered for no reason. Do you think it could be from... Yes, it can at times, but but when it comes up, what you can do is breathe in. And you can tell. This is the way you tell, right? If you had been fine and it comes out of nowhere, yes, it can be. But the way you know is, who was I thinking of previously? And you'll find at a psychic level, we start being able to feel everybody's vibration. So you will get to a point you'll really be aromatizing your house with smudge sticks, because as an empath, you will be highly susceptible to situations. And then you'll get to a point you won't need it, because again, it is another codependency. And as we upgrade our chakras and we don't have as many blockages, you won't need it, because you disallow, and your guides tend to protect you more so, because you don't need to purge that, because you're past that. So the first point is, when it comes in, and this is why I say with twin flame ascension, you do have that as well. It can feel like a psychic attack, because if they're going in it as an empath, you feel their vibration, and it takes you down too. So to cope with your life, you do need to at times breathe that energy out. When it comes in, check what you've been doing. Who was at your house? Who were you around? Who were you talking to? Who were you thinking of? If you had been fine and it shifts suddenly, yes, it's another person's vibration. You know the sad thing now? I've got to glider up my hair. That's right. So does that make sense? Does that part help? What if you know that you are supposed to have kids with your twin? Where is it? Where is it? I was reading it. It's gone. The thing is, you've got to look at it. The key role is, think about it this way. If you do not have a relationship, okay, what if you know you are supposed to have kids with your twin when you really do not want more kids? Things change, and that's okay, right? The thing is, if you want to, we can have separations with a soulmate and have a child. We can have separations with a twin. It doesn't define it. It is something that we have in life, right? Some twins can actually have children on the astro plane. I would have dreams about, and I think to myself, twin and I are quite on the same page with this. We have spent a lot of our years loving and looking after kids, and we do love children. We do also love his children. We also are extremely tired in our life because we had to grow up very fast. We're very, very tired. But you do change, right? So situations change. And I know I had a premonition years ago about my daughter, and I now have her. She's turning 17 in January. So happy birthday, Shanice. But yes, I have had a dream about a son. And the crazy thing is, years and years and years, I'd really wanted this baby. And it's not I don't. It's more I'm older now, and I kind of am more in gratitude that I don't have to, a lot of my dreams maybe didn't come true, but now do they resonate with me? No. There's certain things that don't. And I mean, if you're meant to have a child and, that doesn't come towards you, the thing is, the power is never putting your life on hold. I've been with my twin now we've been in and out over the last, probably 24, 25 years, by rough calculation. Thanks, Sway. But the thing is, I had a daughter in my path, and, it's not his daughter. I've had connections. I've had a marriage. And the handy thing was I didn't know that I was a twin. But even knowing that you are a twin, as long as you can deal with your ascension, don't put your life on hold, right? The ascension will make it feel it's on hold 100%, right? Bye. Yeah, so the ascension will make you feel like, it's almost like you're saying to them, I want to have a baby with you. You know, but the thing is, if a karmic's done that to them, they're not probably going to relate to that very well. And that's not a personal thing. It's not against you. It's due to previous experiences we've had. But we can make it personal, and we need to look at that shadow if that comes up. Because how they feel about you, you know, in the bigger picture, doesn't mean to say that, you know, you're not important and relevant. And if they do end up in a karmic relationship and it's been in and out with you, 9 times out of 10 it'll be an in and out with that karmic. It doesn't mean they're going to get more than you. It doesn't mean you're going to get, you know what I mean? So try not to embody that jealousy, because it's if anything, it'll drive you crazy. And it's not healthy for you. From a processing point of view, you can go down that rabbit hole, but you will then, you know, detach from that and it won't define you. But yes, can some of you have children with them? Yeah, 100%. But you don't want to do that. Don't skip steps, guys. Why do you know, if anything, have a look at the reason why potentially you feel it's got to happen right now. If you haven't even reached reunion, why would you want to be having a child with someone who is not committing to themselves and committing to you? You need to look at the bigger picture of that. Might be beautiful, but that is in a step and a stage. Because, you know, if you are feeling to a degree that you can't do this all on your own now, why would you feel with the child you could? Do you know what I'm saying? And why would you want to? So, you know, those of us that are, and look, there's many twins that are single parents. You know, my twin was and I was, and that was even prior to movement, which is where we had compassion for our parenting role, but at the same time, a child won't change. No, and it's hard because you're trying to heal, and meanwhile you're trying to look after your kid who's going through the same crap as you. It's sucky. My daughter's saying, you know, my life with the ins and outs with soulmate and twin flame and all that crap, and it's good, but it's a shame at times. It's messy. So you want to do the best you can to have the best vibration life. Because you think of it this way. When we have attachment, the reality is you could come back into union. What if a psychic come up to you and said, you're going to get hit by a bus in about 5 years' time, it's all going to be over? We need to live in the given moment. You know, how much of it do we appreciate, number one? And, you know, what if... Would you feel if you had everything with your twin this year and it was romantic, it was intimate, it was beautiful, and then if they were to be in a tragic situation, would you not value that? 100% you would value that. So it's about learning to live in the moment. You must learn to live in the moment. I know it's scary because we have these control-related dynamics that we're not safe. Address what feels to you right now that isn't safe. Address it. And then that's one less tick you have to look at. Is it your work? Is it your career? Is it creating healthy boundaries with family members? Is it loneliness? You know, the only thing you will get to a point you realize the only thing you lack at the end of it, you know, when it is we're yearning for a relationship, is the intimacy, really. It's, you know, it's the gentle words. And if you've never had that from them and it's been in and out, you know, you don't even know if you miss that anymore. But you will come to a peaceful point that you'll know you're worth that, and you'll know it is going to be attracted into your life, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Any questions while I'm cleaning up my horrendous mess? I can say I do not enjoy this henna process. It's a little bit tedious, I must say. And probably because my hair is way too long. I think I need a haircut, guys. I think I need a haircut. So signs of union would be detachment. You won't hate, you won't be fighting it, you won't be thinking what they need to do in order for it to be a success, because A, it's not your job, don't do their work. It's hard enough to be a feminine or a masculine, right? Let alone be doing a person's job for them too. Yeah, it is, because look, nothing's, you can have the best, all of us will have good and bad. Nobody is immune to that. It's always about, okay, is there anything in your life you have not fulfilled? And it's never to live in lack mentality either. You know, life went and life goes the way it was supposed to. Regret is a waste of time, because if it was relevant at that time, we may have done X, Y, and Z. So it's a bit like the bucket list in life. Sometimes that bucket list isn't achieved in life, and it's due to the fact at that point, back then, it wasn't important. Right. You miss your long hair. Well, mine's got to a ridiculous level that I could blooming sit on it, and that's unmanageable. And I feel like a child that is brushing my own hair, screaming her head off when I'm trying to get the knots out. And then twin lights nodding it, and it's not fun. I've had it really, really short. I've had it really, really long. And now I really, really need another coffee. No, I want another coffee, I should say. I've got the tea towel hat on now. So yes, living in the moment. Anytime you feel triggered, come back to this one moment. So say to yourself, okay, am I getting triggered based on the future or the past? Do I have a solution? No. Okay, come back to this one moment. Breathe. Because it's expectation, but it's more based on a previous fear. And it's not going to serve you. If it has a solution inside or a lesson, look at that. Great. But if it has something in it that is just causing you to not make decisions, it doesn't serve you. It needs to be shadow work done. That's another thing that's been coming up in the collective at the moment with feminines. You may find there is a point of your life. The reason feminines are cutting their hair at the moment, it's so funny because we've got Venus in Capricorn. At the end of the year, we will have Venus retrograde in Capricorn. Now, I did mention I'm seeing a lot of synchronicities relating back to 2018-19. That was when the nodes were in Cancer Capricorn. Now, with that, when you cut your hair, look at the spiritual connotation to it. It is like you are cutting a segment of your life away that no longer resonates with you. Why did Brittany cut her hair? Because her life did not resonate with her and she cut that off. She revoked it, okay? And it is a natural purgatory way. So if you are getting to that extreme, it's like you're taking extreme measures. Try and get it back into balance. It's okay, but it can be you just purged it. You cut yours during Venus retrograde. Well, the funny thing is this can feel right now like a Venus retrograde due to the fact that the energy relates to a previous year. You know, what's the responsibility inside of connections? Are we taking responsibility? And because we have Juno, the feminine energy in Sagittarius, what is the responsibility others are taking, and are situations from the past transforming? That's where we're assessing. But it's don't jump into ego right away, because number one, the sun is in Capricorn, so we can be in ego relating to whose job is what and what they have to do and what their obligation is. That's projection, and projection is something going on inside of you. Okay? Do the work, guys. Do the work. Any quick questions before I go and have my coffee? No questions? Nothing? I have a ladies video to do today, so I've got to get that done. Got clients. Should. That's okay, beautiful. Love you to bits, Sanj. Yes, I haven't had much holidays. I've had huge transformations, shake-ups. So I have to call you during the week, doll. We're going to lock it in, Eddie. We're going to have a date. Hugs, true heart. Should the TF wait for contact from DM? I think to a point you actually realise that kind of standoff you got. There's no right and wrong, guys. If you feel you need to, as long as you're coming to it with, hi, how are you? That's fine. or more a statement. So I would say if the person, the funny thing is, if the person's not in contact with you, sometimes, yes, an olive leaf may be required, but 9 times out of 10, it depends on where you are in your spiritual process. How do I put it? I made 2 times I contacted my twin during that separation in 2017-18, right? And with that, it was a statement. So it had no expectation for him to respond back to me. I had absolutely no intention of calling or doing anything like that. I heard that a situation played out in his life that was very horrible. So my thoughts went to him from a humanistic perspective. That was it. No contact. But see, it depends on what the circumstance was with the breakup, right? If you do get to a healed state, as long as you're not coming to, okay, did they forget me? Drop that. It's not real. If in fact you're a twin flame, no. They have your number. They know how to contact you. They know where you are. There are ways. They're not victims. It's allow that to transform, but also not to get into ego where, you're high and mighty. And if you feel that you want to say something that you can't just make statement-based energies, which can effectively be like an olive leaf, but it's not enabling because you're not asking a question. And don't go back into negotiating of, look, are you ready? Have you made a decision yet? No, if they had, they'd be telling you. That's why I don't listen to readings that tell me fairy floss and fluff, because from my twin flame experience, that made me angry. And if they wanted to say something to me, they would have said it to me. So that didn't resonate with me. More the dynamic of maybe where the person's emotional wavelength was coming from. And from my coaching, I have noticed a lot of masculines actually had a lot of PTSD. So when I say PTSD, a lot of circumstances playing out in their life when power was given away and situations were playing out, it's a bit like you having a person who has shell shock and you're trying to ask them all of these things. And the thing was, everyone else has done that too. So until they become whole, they're not home. They're not psychologically there, right? And that's not for all of them, but that is for the ones I've coached and, seeing circumstances that have come through. Yeah. I'm going to read that. Okay. My divine feminine my DF got in touch after 12 years. I have blocked him by... It was hard. See, if you're in a soulmate, DM. Okay, so if you're in a relationship still, you're blocking it. If you're happy with your relationship, that's great. And again, I remember getting into my soulmate energy. I was perfectly honest with him. I told him everything about my twin. I didn't know the tag twin, but I told him, hey, I've got this connection on this, I don't know what this is, but it keeps happening, And that was because I didn't, I knew in a sense that there was this spiritual connection that drove me crazy. But I just wanted to go into the connection, obviously authentic and open. And I was very authentic and open. Yeah, the bloating is due to the fact that the second house is activated with Taurus. We're having that square and it's with Pluto at the moment. So your anxiety, your nervous system energy, and because it's Taurus, it's Venus energy, Mars is there, you're highly enticed to sweets, candy, eating, overload, and then you're full because Mars creates inflammation. So stop, calm down, step away from the candy jar, okay? Pour that energy into balancing the lower chakras, and you'll find you'll be able to co-create the cash component and not the belly, and not feel nauseous, okay? Because we don't want to do that now. No, we're not doing that. This is an awfully long video, guys. Honey, step away from the candy jar. Those products you're selling? You go be focusing on those products, girl. Slap it off. No, because you have the power. Shira. God, you know, some of these cartoons I'm mentioning, I don't even think you guys have. So, you know, I wouldn't know. Anyway, my beautifuls, if you do want a booking or you want coaching, I have the Twin Flame Room. I will be there this week. I'll try and put a community tab up. I'll try and do it today. Let's see how we go, and I'll do a reading. As for how YouTube's going to go, I am doing live readings. I'll do tarot readings on that. See what's happening with the astrology. Still meditating upon it. Otherwise, I will see you soon. But yes, you will be getting psychic readings and things like that. It depends on how quick I can do them. You got to remember, I was building these videos up to move through, and also going to be doing channeled psychic messages, live readings. You know, this is going to put a spanner in the works, so it's going to take me a few minutes to re-collaborate. But yes, I will be doing love readings. Love and light. I'll talk to you soon.